LOUD ACAS alert tone plus deep rumble. Full screen animated radar. A fragmented but widespread mix of storms over Texas, the southeast, and the northern plains, while a massive blocked pattern dominates the continent. Large text overlay flashes. Historic Omega block. May could end tornado free in Oklahoma for first time in 21 years. A highly unusual weather pattern is developing, and it could lead to a historic stretch of quiet. For the first time in 21 years, Oklahoma may go through the entire month of May without a single tornado report, something that feels almost impossible during the peak of severe weather season. Instead of the classic warm and volatile pattern we expect this time of year, a persistent Omega block is set to dominate much of the country, pushing the main storm track away from traditional tornado alley. But even with this calmer setup, scattered severe thunderstorms will still fire with damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes over the next several days. By second 12, text overlay enlarges, major outbreaks unlikely, but scattered severe storms persist. Quick cut to a graphic of the Omega block sandwiching a high between two lows. Sharp, urgent beep. We have a very interesting weather pattern to talk about. Let's get right into the forecast. Right now a small shortwave trough is moving out of the desert southwest into West Texas, and it will bring a significant threat of severe weather today to parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. All hazards will be possible. Meanwhile, a large moisture stream from the Pacific and Gulf has been fueling showers and thunderstorms across the southeast for days, and a couple of tornadoes are possible there again today. The big story is the developing Omega block. A massive low-pressure system sits along the west coast and another low is parked in Canada. Between them, a strong high-pressure system is being sandwiched. That's the classic Omega block. Think of it as a sandwich. The high is literally squeezed between two lows, and this pattern will stay locked in place for at least the next week. By Friday the Omega block becomes even more definitive, with both lows barely moving and the high sitting comfortably in the middle. What this means for severe weather is that major, organized outbreaks are unlikely for the rest of May. I do not see any significant widespread severe events through the end of the month. However, mesoscale severe weather, small-scale, hard-to-predict events, will still pop up, especially with all the moisture streaming out of the Pacific and Gulf. If some of that moisture manages to get over the Rockies, there could be some severe weather in the central and northern plains by the tail end of May. The first week of June looks fairly quiet for now, though that can change. The nature of mesoscale severe weather is that we sometimes can't pinpoint it until about 24 hours out. It's small scale, and that's exactly what we'll be dealing with instead of the large synoptic storms that drive major outbreaks. Let's get into the severe weather potential over the next few days. Today, which happens to be Tuesday, we have 4 separate risk areas outlined. The main corridor runs through West Texas and New Mexico, where significant severe weather is possible. I personally think the damaging wind risk could extend as far east as Dallas. We've had severe storms in the DFW Metroplex 2 days in a row with no risk area outlined, so stay alert. Other marginal threats stretch across Montana and Idaho, parts of the Midwest, and into Kentucky. Main concerns today include isolated damaging winds between 50 and 65 miles per hour and large to very large hail in West Texas just south of Lubbock. There's also a smaller hail area over Montana, Idaho, central Wisconsin, and southeastern Minnesota. The tornado threat today has a 5% risk in Texas and a 2% risk from Lubbock down to San Antonio and another near Lexington, Kentucky. If any discrete supercells can form ahead of the main line in Texas, a strong tornado cannot be ruled out. We may go live this afternoon and evening, so make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. This month has been exceptionally quiet. We've only had a handful of live streams all May, the lowest since 2023. On Wednesday, a marginal severe risk will focus along the East Coast, mainly for a wind threat in Virginia just south of Washington, D.C. There will also be scattered storms elsewhere, which I'll break down shortly. Thursday's overall severe risk looks low, but a large area of general thunderstorms will stretch from the west coast to the southeast. We'll essentially rinse and repeat this same pattern through Friday and Saturday. Now let's walk through the timing. This morning, a line of thunderstorms is already firing up in West Texas near Lubbock and Odessa. That line will quickly grow and push east over the next several hours. The key today is whether any discrete supercells form. If they do, there will be a risk of a tornado or two, and an isolated strong tornado isn't out of the question. By 2 to 3 p.m., a large line of storms approaches Abilene and Del Rio. One or two discrete cells could pop out in front. By 4 p.m., a very significant squall line stretches across West Texas, with damaging winds up to 65 miles per hour and isolated baseball-sized hail with any supercells. Meanwhile, scattered to numerous thunderstorms will be active across the southeast. We're looking at isolated damaging winds and maybe even a tornado or two. We've had a couple of random tornadoes in Alabama the past few days, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another isolated one today in Georgia, Alabama, or southern Mississippi. A slightly more concentrated tornado risk will exist in central and eastern Kentucky between 3 and 7 p.m. By 7 to 8 p.m., the Texas line pushes towards San Antonio and Dallas. I think it will weaken as it approaches DFW, but a few damaging wind gusts around 60 miles per hour are possible. By 11 p.m., storms move through San Antonio and South Texas. Overnight into Wednesday morning, the line will be fairly weak as it passes Houston and Louisiana. For those in the upper Midwest, a few thunderstorms will pop up near Minneapolis and central Wisconsin between 2 and 5 p.m. Mainly pocket change hail and downburst winds up to 60 mph are possible, but the tornado threat there is near zero. On Wednesday, the severe risk concentrates in the Ohio Valley and East Coast. After lunchtime, storms fire up near Indianapolis, Columbus, and Pittsburgh, with a downburst wind threat and quarter to half-dollar sized hail. A large area of storms will sag southward late in the day, bringing gusty winds to Kentucky and Virginia that could knock down tree limbs and cause power outages. Most of that activity weakens overnight. Thursday we're back at it with more thunderstorms across the Great Plains and Southeast, but organized severe weather looks least likely that day. Some pocket change hail could occur in Oklahoma, and a few damaging wind gusts are possible, but the tornado threat will be the lowest of the next 3 days. Thursday night into early Friday will be quiet for most of the lower 48. Beyond Thursday, the historically quiet late May pattern continues. I do think there's at least a chance of some severe storms in the high plains over the weekend. Places like Wyoming, South Dakota, and Nebraska could see hail and wind storms, and a low tornado risk. But nothing looks super organized right now. Some models have hinted at weak tropical development off the Florida coast this weekend into early next week. The National Hurricane Center hasn't outlined anything yet, but if anything changes, we'll let you know. More than anything, Florida will just see a lot of much-needed rain. The GFS model for the first 2 weeks of June shows almost nothing. That will definitely change, but it's remarkable to see a computer model so devoid of storm systems. Usually long-range models love to spin up big storms. A blank map is rare, and it reinforces just how unusual this quiet pattern really is. Temperatures for the end of May are actually pretty nice across much of the country. The southeast will stay humid as expected, but the Midwest will be comfortable, with Friday morning lows in the 40s and 50s across the Ohio Valley and Northeast. The West Coast will be chilly, especially Utah and Idaho. This is one of the quietest weather patterns I think I've ever covered in May, and honestly, it's a welcome breather. That doesn't mean we let our guard down. Scattered severe storms are still in the cards each day, and the Omega block can break down faster than expected. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss any live coverage. We'll have another full update on Thursday, and if things turn active, we'll be here